This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on The South Today, fear turned to joy after the dramatic rescue of a dog from a cliff face. Bayfield High School senior Eva Hoffmans returned to Dunedin yesterday bearing a gold medal for rowing. And learning about farming bees and marketing resultant honey has been part of the school term for pupils at Waitahuna School. Kia ora, good evening. I'm Simon Anderson. Fear turned to an outpouring of joy from a Mosgiel woman after the dramatic rescue of her dog from the face of a cliff on Friday. Linda Reid was walking Benji, a 5-year-old Maltese, around Andersons Bay Cemetery when Benji dashed off, chasing a furry feed.
When a routine dog walk becomes a cliff-top rescue, possibly thanks to a small canine's taste for rabbit.
Didn't even catch the rabbit, eh?
Safely back on terra firma after a couple of hours on a ledge halfway down Lawyer's Head, Benji the Maltese accepts a few pats from one of his rescuers.
Well, it's something we don't do all the time, but we are trained for it, so, you know, it's a team effort, so I felt perfectly safe with all these people backing me up, so, yeah, so, all good.
However, it wasn't all good earlier on Friday, when Benji was nowhere to be seen or heard. Responding to the call, crews from St Kilda and Lookout Point fire stations arrived, supported by specialist personnel from other stations. Crew members quickly setting up a rescue line down the cliff.
I didn't hear him initially, and I asked another golfer if I could borrow his ears, and we listened and he said, no, it's a dog over on the beach. So, and then after about 3/4 of an hour I rang.
They eventually heard a sound from the dog halfway down the cliff face on Lawyer's Head. Linda Reid called her husband Kelvin and they called emergency services around 2:20 p.m.
Well, the guys just saying he was kind of right on a ledge. The next step was over. So, very lucky, I'd say.
After a nervous hour since the call, firefighters emerged at the top of the cliff with a shaken but unharmed dog. Kelvin and Linda Reid were overjoyed to be reunited with their much-loved, rescued and slightly grubby pet. The Reids are hugely grateful to the firefighters. In Dunedin, The South Today.
The Waitaki District Council used a drone recently to film red-billed gulls nesting on rooftops along Oamaru's main street. This follows complaints from Thames Street businesses about hundreds of gulls nesting in the retail area. The council says not all buildings are equally affected, and it seems the gulls prefer nesting on flat roofs. After almost 1,000 red-billed gulls nested on top of Oamaru's Countdown supermarket last year, the Department of Conservation gave special permission to prevent the protected species from nesting there again. Since these scenes were filmed last year, Countdown has aimed for 0 gulls on their roof. The company has installed spikes along the rooftop's perimeter, as well as a lazy light and raptorcalls. It will also add netting to prevent the gulls from landing. The Waitaki District Council says it's looking at encouraging the gulls to move to a natural environment. Bayfield High School senior Eva Hoffmans returned to Dunedin yesterday bearing a gold medal for rowing. Only a week ago, the 17-year-old was part of a 4-woman team whose quadruple sculls crew finished first at the World Rowing Junior Champs in Tokyo.
Dunedin High School pupil Eva Hoffmans greeted by enthusiastic friends on her return to Dunedin, following a win for her quadruple sculls crew in Japan just over a week ago. Schools had to take a back seat for the last few months leading up to last week's World Rowing Junior Champs in Tokyo.
I left on June the 2nd to Cambridge to train for 8 weeks. And then, I can't remember when, but sometime at the end of July, the whole team, we flew over to Japan, and then from Narita Airport we flew to the airport in Lake Beaworth, which is where we trained for 2 weeks before catching the bullet train to Tokyo, where I've been until yesterday morning.
She says the team's impressive win hasn't quite settled in yet.
I think my way of coping before races is that I try not to think about the race, and so I think maybe that stops me from thinking about it afterwards as well. So that's something to work on, I think.
Normally Hoffmans rows single sculls, but she enjoyed working as part of a team, and she says their German rivals were the ones to watch out for.
The past 3 months, all our training, we've imagine the Germans were just in front of you, and the Germans were just in front of us.
During the race, the team just put their heads down and concentrated on rowing hard the whole way, ignoring their competitors.
But we just, heads in the boat, that's one of our calls, and we just focus on pushing up, and it's the same as the heat on Wednesday in the final. We just rode through them and we didn't look, it wasn't a big deal that we were doing it. Like normally in my singles, if I row through someone, I'm like, yeah, but we were like, everything can happen in the middle K of a race, and we just had to get as far away from all the other crews as possible.
In the end, they won, beating their German rivals by more than 2 seconds.
Like mentally, it was the biggest, toughest thing I've ever done, but it paid off. Just being in a crew with other people, it's much different to a single, so you can share the load, I suppose.
While Hoffmans is now home and supposed to be taking a 3-week break from rowing, there's been a slight delay with her competing in a long-distance race on Otago Harbour yesterday. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Police have slammed the behaviour of an Australian man as moronic after he asked his friend to shoot him with an air rifle because he wanted to know how painful it would be. Police were called to Lake District Hospital about 4:30 p.m. yesterday after the 26-year-old turned up with pellets in his abdomen and leg. Queenstown Police say one of the pellets had lodged under the skin and needed to be surgically removed. Learning about farming bees and marketing resultant honey has been part of the school term for pupils at Waitahuna School. The school honey project came about after a local family discovered a large swarm of wild bees in one of the walls of their farmhouse.
These are the bees that lived in the walls of Tweed's house on the hills at Waitahuna.
This little video created by the children of Waitahuna School, just inland from Milton, telling the tale of a bee swarm found in the walls of a nearby house, which then saw the bees moved to a purpose-built hive, and teaching the local school children the art of beekeeping in the process.
One of our local families had the swarm of bees actually in their house, and so then when we found that, Dana and Megan, our beekeepers, asked if we could create a hive. So we decorated a hive, and those actual bees were put into our hive this year, and yeah, they produced very well. The
pupils created this video of the beehive as part of their digital curriculum. It tells of how the wild swarm was domesticated, and pupil Beth Homer says they made little drawings of the characters to move along step by step for the animated movie.
We put like the magnets on the characters, and then we put them on, and then we, on the stop motion thing, we press the photo, then we move them every time. So then at the end it comes out like a little video.
Pupil Lockie Walk says editing the sound was one of the hardest parts of the whole project and required swapping over to a different computer.
The audio was quite challenging. Was the first time we did it on the computer, it came out and the end part it didn't stop, and it's told me saying it didn't work. Then we changed it onto the iPad and it worked quite well.
The son of the beekeepers who removed the wild bees from the house says they've collected many jars worth of honey.
We're putting labels on them and selling them.
Blackmore says domesticating the wild swarm has been a good learning opportunity for the school.
Just knowing how life works, knowing how businesses work, how businesses market themselves, and you know, the story of farming bees really and farming honey. I mean, most of them are farm children and they can see it as a business, and hopefully at the end they get to see the finance that's created from it.
The school now has almost 200 jars of honey, which are for sale as a fundraiser for the school. In Waitahuna, the South Today.
Waitahuna honey.
Still to come on the South Today, we meet a group of very special Olympians, hot-footing it with the best. See you after the break.
At Alex Campbell Menswear, we bring you the best value. We have bought a massive selection of moleskins, and we're passing on the savings to you. Buy one pair, save $25. Buy two, save $60, and we've got a great deal on our knitwear. Look at it all, 25% off all our knitwear. And to go with the knitwear, what about a nice warm shirt? These are 25% off too. And while we're doing the 25% off, what about on the jackets? 25% off them as well.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So check us out for massive savings this winter.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
Step into Shop on Carol and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole Map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality, stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're suffering from sciatica, lower back pain, hips and pelvis and knees, this technique will work wonders for you. The energy flow is transmitting through the muscles. Come and see Sunny Chin.
Step into Op Shop on St Andrew and discover a place with plenty of bargains for yourself, your friends and the whole family. We have new items arriving every day. Visit us for a fabulous range of economy and upmarket clothing, accessories, books, shoes and more. Shop with us and support your community.
Step into Ross Cafe, located at Ross Home in North East Valley. We have a great range of hot and cold food, friendly service and a warm atmosphere that you are sure to enjoy. We look forward to serving you soon at Ross Cafe.
No Maya Nor, welcome back. Recently in Christchurch, the Special Olympics Canterbury footballers were getting ready for their big game against some of the city's councillors. What follows is a behind-the-scenes look at their team as they prepare for the friendly match.
Every Monday night we train between 4:30 and 5:30. At the moment we've got a World Games teams coming down on Sunday, so we're aiming to get ourselves ready for that.
Hey boys! My mate, can we have this?
I'm Rory and I'm a midfield back.
Hector and out the back. Jamie Henderson in the middle. I'm Chicago and I'm just training today.
Tony. I'm Sammy. And I'm a striker.
Hello, I'm Mike, I'm a helper.
Hey!
Get quite competitive, get quite angry if things don't go well, and get angry with each other.
Hey, Hector!
Oh no, he broke his hand, he used his hand to push me.
Yeah, some of them are getting on a wee bit too, some of them are, I think the eldest is 58, the youngest is about 14.
Whoa, he's got it! He's through!
I actually got started this because my son is a teacher, and part of his teaching degree he had to work with special needs athletes. So he took them to the 2005 National Games, And then he decided to go overseas, and Graham asked him, who's going to take over the football? He said, oh, Dad will. So that was it. And 14 years later, we're still here. The World Games team is selected throughout New Zealand. Asia Pacific have funded them to come down and have a game down here against the Kennedy team. We don't get a lot of games like this, so it's quite good to be able to do that at any given chance that we can. Rory's really good. We made him apply for the World Games, but I think the application had gone in too late, so he missed out. But he definitely wasn't out of, no worse than any of the other players around, that's for sure. He kept us in the game, made quite a few vital saves when we needed them. But yeah, it was unfortunate we can't clone him and have him outfield as well as in goal, but it is what it is. It worked for them too.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, but it's just more hard, eh?
Anyone wants a jet plane?
Okay, you run around up the front, okay? So it's no good just standing there with the lady behind you, having a nice little chin chat. You've got to run and move, okay?
The councillors are going to get the ball and they're going to try and find you, but you've got to actually work towards it as well.
Yeah. It's quite dewy, so the ball rolls a lot quicker. But you guys are doing really well.
Yeah, so you guys.
Yeah, our keeper's doing well.
Yeah.
Just keep going, guys.
Better go on.
Thought we played pretty well really against the New Zealand side, and we were lucky to have the councillors there helping us out where we needed help.
Come on! Nice. Back in again. Nice.
Quite competitive too by the look of it. I think they might have been chasing votes.
What is really, really good about unified sport is when everyone gets on and has a really good game, and it's all very fair.
And they're all having fun, yeah, that's the main thing. That's what's special, is having fun. Keep going, look up, look up, look up. Look over there, Greg. We went to Abu Dhabi for the World Games in March, and we played in an all-men's competition with a mixed team. They did really well, bonded really well, but it's just result-wise didn't really go well, but played well. First time New Zealand went to a World Games.
This wet ground's a bit of a challenge for them.
I really enjoyed that. It was really good. Yeah, good team spirit. Quite competitive though. Yeah, very well played. Everyone, did their best.
Well done, all of you. Yeah.
After the break on the South Today, we cover the Dunedin High School Premier Rugby Final, and we have a look at the weather.
Step into Op Shop on St Andrew and discover a place with plenty of bargains for yourself, your friends and the whole family. For a fabulous range of economy and upmarket clothing, accessories, books, shoes and more. Shop with us and support your community.
If you're suffering from sciatica, lower back pain, hips and pelvis and knees, this technique will work wonders for you. The energy flow is transmitting through the muscles. Come and see Sunny Chill.
Hi, Lindsay here from Alex Campbell Menswear. We're having a massive menswear liquidation. Don't panic, it's not our liquidation, it's Munn's Menswear. They suddenly closed 6 stores throughout the country. Munn's have left their suppliers dangling and desperate to move large orders. We've come to the party. It's our biggest purchase yet. You can save up to 70%. Yes, save up to 70%. We've got strictly limited stocks at the best deals.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
The big one, South Dunedin store. Don't miss this.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality, stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
Step into Ross Cafe, located at Ross Home in North East Valley. We have a great range of hot and cold food, friendly service and a warm atmosphere that you are sure to enjoy. We look forward to serving you soon at Ross Cafe.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
Thanks for staying with us. Otago Boys High School won the final of the Otago Premier Schools competition on Saturday, beating Kings High School 34-17. Otago Boys led 10-5 at half-time and pulled away in the second half.
4 seasons in one game. In perfect conditions for the winter game of rugby, Otago Boys High School claimed the ODT Cup, beating Kings High in the final of the Otago Premier Schools competition.
I think we played some pretty good footy in the first half, and we just had to take them to the second half and just, make less mistakes and just stay composed.
Otago Boys High captain Tavita Asi says it was a game of two halves, Otago Boys leading 10-5 at half-time. Kings fullback Logan Wilson says once his team crossed the halfway line, they found the try line was an achievable goal.
Just trying to get out of our half, to be honest. We can't really allow them to keep in our half. If we keep keeping our halves, that's what scored tries, and early on they scored tries, so then we were trying to get out of our half, and as soon as we got out of our half, we got down there and we scored a few points.
Wilson says being behind at half-time spurred them on, but they always felt like they were playing catch-up.
Just trying to keep in it, to be honest, and try to keep on playing our game plan and see how it goes, but near the end of it they scored a few tries quickly and then just kind of went downhill from there.
The final score, Otago Boys 34, Kings High 17. Otago Boys now has 2 weeks off before playing the winner of the Crusaders competition to get into the national top 4. Otago Boys are set to host the South Island final. In Dunedin, South Today.
And Channel 39 is set to screen the final this Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. Fair turned to joy after the dramatic rescue of a dog from a cliff face when a wee Maltese went rabbit chasing and was rescued by firefighters. Bayfield High School senior Eva Hoffmans returned to Dunedin complete with her gold medal for rowing, which she won at the World Rowing Junior Champs in Tokyo. And learning about farming bees and marketing resultant honey has been part of the school term for pupils at Waitahuna School. And now we look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. We welcome Hayden Meikle. Kia ora, Hayden.
Good evening, Simon. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you
Very
doing?
good. Let's see, what have we got tonight? Well, some late-ish news came out this afternoon about the cost of parking in Dunedin, and as we know, it's probably the single most fiercely debated topic in this city, the cost of parking, and look, it's going up. There's no way to disguise it, the cost is going up. I haven't had all the latest details, but I'll be as angry as the next person. But let's read tomorrow's paper. Chris Morris has been at Council reporting what's going on and what's happening with the cost of parking, so watch the space on that. The other big news today was house fires. We had a couple of house fires in Dunedin in the past 24 hours, and both, I believe, are coming with a warning from investigators to watch what we do with our hot ashes. So you would think it's an old message, I guess. Be very, very wary of where you put those hot ashes. There are ash tins for a reason. But quite a dramatic photo we've got showing what can happen when hot ash disposal goes wrong, I suppose. So bit of a public service message in there. Great news for the kakapo. The population has risen by 52% in 6 months, and we look at the Dunedin Wildlife Hospital and the great work they've been doing in treating the kakapo, which is good. Obviously a fairly special bird, a special part of this country. And another really interesting story, it's a court story, and people love their court stories, and this one is about parents who were fined for not getting their teenage son, quote, out of bed and off to school.
Really?
And I'm sure there's lots of parents who can perhaps empathise with that, but a huge interest in the fact that was actually a case was taken against those parents. It certainly doesn't happen very often. So all that and plenty more right throughout the paper, hopefully tomorrow.
That's great. Thank you, Hayden. And now time for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by MoleMap.
Beginning with today's southern view of buds bursting on trees outside the railway station. Looking at the situation, a week of west to southwesterly airflow ahead with strong winds at times in exposed places, rain or showers on the western ranges and south coast, but often dry further east. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, Greymouth and Westport can expect rain and 12 degrees. Across to the northeast, where Nelson and Blenheim are also due for a rainy day and 12. Moving down to Canterbury, Kaikoura, Christchurch and Ashburton, you're all in for a cloudy day and 13 degrees. Looking at what's in store for the southern towns, fresh westerlies with rain are the order of the day. Balclutha and the Catlins head for 9, while Lumsden and Gore are slightly warmer on 10 degrees. Travelling westward to the Central Lakes, you should plan for rain and westerlies. Wanaka and Te Anau head for 9 degrees, Queenstown 8, while Alexandra is the only centre to make double figures, with a predicted high of 11 tomorrow. Looking at the northern towns, along the coast, Timaru and Oamaru expect gusty southerlies and cloud. Timaru you should reach 14 and Oamaru slightly lower on 11. Further inland, Twizel and Omarama you're set for gusty northwesterlies, rain later and it's 10 degrees for you both. In Dunedin, high cloud increasing tonight with moderate northeast winds and an overnight low of 5. Thick, high cloud tomorrow with cold temperatures and moderate northeasterlies. Some showers mid-afternoon also, a high of 8 and a low of 1. Mostly fine and sunny on Wednesday with breezy northeast winds and cool temperatures, a high of 10 and a low of 6. And finally, moving to Invercargill. Cloud increasing tonight with freshening northwesterlies and an overnight low of 7. Cloudy tomorrow with periods of rain and fresh northwesterlies at first. It eases to showers with strong, cold southwesterlies developing, a high of 9 and a low of 6. Cloudy with showers on Wednesday and strong westerly winds, a high of 8 and a low of 6 degrees. And that's the news this Monday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Have a great evening and week. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.